He goes, so right now you're still sitting in your seat and you're thinking, am I doing this? Am I getting baptized? And when you think that, your heart is pounding out of your chest. He goes, is your heart pounding out of your chest? I go, oh shit. Yeah, my heart's pounding out of my chest. And he goes, well, if your heart's pounding out of your chest, your palms are probably sweaty too. And I look down, I touch and they are drenched. And I never get sweaty palms, like ever. And honest to God, you guys, it felt like he was talking right to me. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about wrestling with Christianity and wrestling with God. I've been on a spiritual kind of journey for as long as I can remember. Just trying to figure it all out, right? Trying to make sense of it all. Earlier this year, I got baptized, and it was it's a bit of a game changer. It had an immediate impact on my life. But I'd be lying if I said, it just solved all my problems and everything has just been clear sailing from then. It just kind of changed the perspective a little bit. And I'm going to talk about that today in a way that, well, hopefully I can spark some thought in you and get you going. And hopefully you can provide some feedback and questions for me that'll get me thinking more. I mean, that's the beauty of this journey. So I think it's going to be an interesting episode. Let's have some fun today. Army of Great Men, new episode. Let's go. As I said, this has been a bit of a journey. I've had a bunch of ups and downs, and I've had some really interesting conversations with people, frankly, people that pissed me off to the point where I wanted to just reject everything to do with Christianity. I heard a great line a while ago that said, Christianity would be great if it wasn't for all the Christians. And much like everything in this world, you can have the best idea possible, but all it takes is a few people to screw it up for everybody, right? And I've certainly experienced some of those things with Christianity. So I'm going to go back and just tell you, I'm going to tell you how this all started with the whole baptism. It was it was a really neat experience, and I'll tell you what happened after. So, and I've told this story before. I told it on my Instagram account. I think I may have even mentioned it on a podcast previously. So I wasn't planning on getting baptized. A friend of mine invited my girlfriend and I to church. His name's Art Reimer. He's a pastor with one of the churches here in Edmonton, he's a former pastor. And for the last, probably 15 years, he's actually worked with me in my day job in the financial industry. And so Art's been doing some, I guess you'd call it sort of spiritual coaching with me for the last couple of years. He recognized that I probably wasn't ever going to be the kind of guy who was, going to church every week. Some people might say that makes me a bad Christian. I don't really care. This is my journey. But anyway, Art's been kind enough to go for coffee with me and help answer questions and help guide me. And we've had some, really interesting, sort of debates on things. He's a fascinating guy. Actually, hopefully I'll bring him on the show one day. So one day Art reaches out and said, hey, do you and Ange, that's my girlfriend, do you and Ange want to come with my family and I to church on Easter Sunday? And he said, it's a great service. I think you'd really enjoy it. And I said, yeah, sure. Let's go. Let's check it out. I hadn't been to church in 100 years. This sounds great. So we go to church, and they've got all these tubs set up all over the place on the stage, kind of off to the side, these big tubs of water. I'm going, what are these all about? Well, then when the pastor starts his sermon, he tells this story of this guy who got baptized, in this little pond in the middle of the desert. And it was sort of like, well, yeah, why not? Like, why wouldn't I get baptized? There's some water. Let me get baptized. There's some water. Let me get baptized. And then I sort of figure out, well, no, he's going to start calling people up to do this. And so I start making excuses in my head. First excuse was, well, I didn't bring any dry clothes. Like, I'm not going to get baptized in this. Like, they want you to jump right in the water. Like, I'm in my suit. What am I going to do? And And the guy says, the pastor says, so right now you're probably thinking, I didn't bring any dry clothes. I can't get baptized. Well, don't worry. We got trunks. We got shirts. We're good for you. Oh, okay. Well, that excuse is gone. And then popped in my head. I went, well, you know what? If I was going to do this, I'd probably like to have like some of my close friends, some of my Christian friends. I'd love for them to be in attendance for this. Next words out of the pastor's mouth. So right now you're probably thinking, wouldn't it be nice if my friends were here to see this? Do you really think they care? Do you think they're going to be disappointed if they did this without you? That's a terrible excuse. And then I swear to God, you guys, one after another, I'd come up with an excuse and then he would say that excuse. Like, it was like he was reading my mind. And then he said a couple other things that were really speaking to me. And my girlfriend looks at me and she goes, is he talking to you? And I went, yeah, it kind of feels like he's talking to me. And I'm trying to find every reason possible not to do this for some reason. And then this thought came into my head. And this thought was, I've been asking a lot of God lately. I've been saying the prayer of Jabez, which is a prayer that Art taught me a while ago. I've been saying this prayer over and over and over and over. And basically what the prayer is, I'll give you the kind of the short version of it. This prayer is basically saying, God, help me expand my territory so I can help you expand yours. Help me grow my reach, my wealth, my ability to connect with people, my estate, everything. Help me get rich and abundant so I can help you grow your richness and abundance is basically the gist of the prayer. And I've been asking and asking and asking and asking. And frankly, like nothing was changing, right? Like I'd been putting tons of effort into my business and my business was just sort of stuck. Like it just wasn't really going anywhere. And it didn't feel like it was for any reason that I was doing. It just felt stuck. I've been putting all this effort into my podcast and my Instagram account and they weren't moving. Like my Instagram account was at 1,200 followers forever. Like it just wouldn't move. It wouldn't budge. Didn't matter what I put out. Didn't matter how many views my things got. Nothing was moving. And I'm putting real effort in because, if you listen to my show from the start, you'll know that like, I really want to help people. Like sorry if that sounds arrogant, but I do think I know some things. I know some people that I can bring messages to people and help men get strong and help people get stronger in as many ways as possible. And so I'm sitting there and I'm, kind of scratching my head going, well, geez, like I've been asking a lot. Maybe it's not happening. Maybe my prayers aren't being answered because I haven't committed yet. Like maybe that's it. I don't know. And then, the pastor stops talking and I see like people are getting up and they're walking to the back of the room to get into this lineup to go get baptized. Right. And then the band gets up and they start playing and the leader of the band, this is ridiculous. He goes, okay. He goes, so right now you're still sitting in your seat and you're thinking, am I doing this? Am I getting baptized? And when you think that, your heart is pounding out of your chest. He goes, is your heart pounding out of your chest? I go, oh shit. Yeah, my heart's pounding out of my chest. And he goes, well, if your heart's pounding out of your chest, your palms are probably sweaty too. And I look down, I touch and they are drenched. And I never get sweaty palms, like ever. And he goes, that's the Holy Spirit talking to you. He goes, so the question is, how thick do you have to be to ignore this? The message is getting louder and louder. Are you going to do this or not? And honest to God, you guys, it felt like he was talking right to me. Like, right. It was really a profound experience. And so I was like, okay, enough. Like, let's go. So I kissed my girlfriend on the cheek, got up and left. And I'm guessing she was all aflutter going crazy. So I get to the back of the room and they've got this cattle run set up where you got to take a picture here and do this and sign this and do this and blah, blah, blah. And then you got to change in your clothes and put your other clothes in a bag and, you got to get all ready. Well, then I'm just about to go on stage and I get a tap on my shoulder and it's Art. It's my buddy who invited me to church. And he goes, hey, can I baptize you? And I was like, you can do that? He's like, of course I can do that. I'm a former pastor. Like I can do that. I'm like, yeah, let's go. So it was awesome. Art brings me up, ask me the questions. You give yourself the questions they ask and do it. And it was awesome. My girlfriend and Art's family and everybody, they were cheering me on. I got some awesome pictures. It was great. And then I'm just getting out of the tub, and this lady is like, Art, wait. There's one more. And Art's daughter was right behind me, and he didn't know. So I think she was like 13 or 14, and she decided to get baptized as well. And so he got to follow me up with baptizing his daughter. Like, it was awesome. It was so cool. So anyway, then after that, a bunch of things happened. So they sort of warned me after. They said, hey, in the week or two that follows, you may feel yourself being pulled in all sorts of weird directions, emotionally, spiritually, like there's going to be some dark stuff that's going to come and try to trip you up and sabotage you. Well, holy cow, you guys, like emotional roller coaster over that week, like up and down. I remember getting so angry at a couple things that and I'm not an angry guy, but I was getting angry at things that I shouldn't get angry at. Didn't feel right. Anyway, that sort of subsided. The day, I think it was the night I got baptized, I went and I put the little video of my baptism on Instagram, and it, just got a few views from some of my friends. And again, cause I had no following, and then I didn't touch it. I didn't touch my Instagram account or this podcast or anything it was 8 days. And then the next video that I put out, the very next one had like 500,000 views. And then this one goes crazy and this one goes crazy. Anyway, I went from 1,200 followers to 30,000 followers in the first week after I started using it again. So like I paused for 8 days, and then 30,000 new followers, to go from 1,200 followers to 30,000 new followers in that. And now it's at I think at the time I'm recording this, I'm a little over 80,000. I don't say that to like brag about my Instagram. Like, it's like, I don't even know how this stuff works. I do it to tell you the prayer or the power of that prayer and what happened when I committed, right? So what was my prayer? My prayer was, dear God, help me expand my territory so I can help you expand yours. I want to walk with you. I want to share your message. I want to get out there and inspire people to connect the way I did. And the very first thing that happened after I got baptized is my reach went from basically just friends and family and a few other people who stumbled into my account to a reach that's the size of a small city. Like, it's crazy. It's humbling and eye-opening for sure. What happened in the weeks that followed that gave me some pause and fascinating insight into why so many people struggle with the concept of being a Christian. Guys, there are so many things that people do as Christians that turn people off to the point where they will never consider ever being a Christian again, because they associate being a Christian with this behavior or this thought or this action or this black and white non-negotiable decision. And we got to stop that. I had this lady reach out. I put a post out that talked about MAID. So MAID is for those in the US that maybe don't know, MAID is our euthanasia program here in Canada. So the post I put out talked about how I had to watch my dad die. We had to watch my dad die. He was like 90 pounds when he finally died, and his heart was too strong. So his body just kept going. Like, everything was shut down. He's dying of cancer. Suffering is not a strong enough word for what we all had to watch. And he was begging to die. Like, for 3 months, he's ready. Like, enough. He's had enough. No quality of life. His brain was, starting to go because of, the painkillers and this and that. And he was done. Like, this was no fun for anybody. And at that time, there was no option. Like, there was no option to give him the relief that he needed. And I just remember thinking, like, man, if you let a dog die like that, they'd put you in jail for animal cruelty. And rightfully so. Like, it was awful. So anyway, then when my mom was dying, which was 10 years later, my dad died in 2013. My mom died in 2023. Um, when she was dying, there was a maid option, and she was determined. She was like, I'm not doing this the way he did it. So I had, I don't know, like 4 or 5 meetings with the nurse that was going to come and do it and learn this and learn the risks and learn how, is it going to be peaceful? Is it going to be this? When do I decide? Blah, 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 all that stuff. And so, while my mom was in some pain towards the end, she didn't have to go through that long, brutal, pointless battle that my dad did at the very end. And so I put this post out talking about, please, Canada, don't screw this up. Because now what's happening with MAID in Canada is they're offering it to depressed kids. They're offering it to people who are financially bankrupt. They're offering it to homeless people. They're like people that aren't terminally ill. They're just offering it to people going, hey, like, do you want to give up? Like, we'll give you a shot. We can end it for you, which is not what this is for. Like, not at all. Imagine offering MAID to a 14-year-old kid because she's depressed. Like, that's actually happening in Canada. It's gross. And so the point of my reel was to say, guys, just don't wreck this, please. Because people I watched it firsthand, the difference in the way my mom died versus the way my dad died. And I can tell you which one was the better way to go. Like, there's no debate on this. Well, oh my God, the messages I got. This one lady who's this big abortion activist, she comes at me and she goes, you're not a Christian. How can you support medical assisted suicide and call yourself a Christian? You don't know what you're talking about. You're definitely not a Christian. No Christian would ever say that or believe that. And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, you killed your mother. You killed your mother. You're going to hell. You killed your mother. And I went, I didn't kill my mother. She researched this for months. This was her decision. She ultimately made this choice. And she goes, well, then she committed suicide, and you know where you go if you commit suicide. Guys, first off, I know my mother's not in hell. Like, there's no chance. That's not how this works. But second, like, I'm actually mad. Like, my heart rate is pounding right now just thinking about this. It made me want to reject every form of Christianity. Like, instantly. Like, it turned me off and made me so angry that I was just like, screw this. If this is what this is about, I'm done. Like, this is not it. Didn't change my belief in Jesus or God or my connection to that, or that, Jesus is my guy and the sacrifice he made. We all know the reason you become a Christian. But I was like, if this is who I have to be to call myself a Christian, I'm out. I won't do that. I would never, ever, ever want to make anybody feel the way that lady made me feel. She's turning people away from God with things like that. And I really wrestled with it for a while. I really wrestled with it. And then I just, was praying on it, meditating on it, and just lying awake, thinking all night. And then I thought about all the people who have been told that they're going to hell because they did this or they did that or whatever. And if they were told in a way that was convincing enough, it would permanently, and I mean permanently, close the door on them ever letting Jesus into their heart. Because if they associate that with this, they're done. They're done. And I'm sorry, you guys, but giving people ultimatums is no way to live your life, right? Like, you don't back people into corners. You don't do that. And trying to scare people into becoming a Christian because telling them that they're going to go to hell if they don't, it's a BS tactic, and it turns way more people away than you're going to get. Yeah, you might get a few, but you're going to turn way more away, and you're going to do it in a way that's going to turn them away forever. And so I've really, really been wrestling with this. And then I thought about young girls who they go and they have an abortion. And they have an abortion, and there's people standing outside of the abortion clinic, and they're telling him, you're going to go to hell, and you did it, you're murdering and this and that and everything else. And by the way, guys, I'm not here to have a debate on abortion. I'm not. I have my beliefs on abortion. I personally believe those lives are sacred. I personally believe that those are babies, especially after a certain point. So I'm not sitting here saying I'm pro-abortion. But when a young girl who's so desperate in her life that they feel this is their only option, they're already feeling terrible about it, I'm sure. Like, there are very few people that are going to celebrate having an abortion, right? The sickos that do, whatever. But for most people, it's a really emotional and sad and a tragic thing where they know that, they're going to have to think about that forever. Well, saying to someone while they're already going through something so big, and then telling them that they're going to go to hell and that they're murderers and everything else, what you're doing is you're pushing them away from God at a time when they need God more than ever, right? Think about the damage that does to that young girl's relationship permanently with a higher power, permanently. It was actually a fascinating thing for me to go through, and I'm really glad that lady reached out and said those things to me. As angry as it still makes me, I'm still mad just even thinking about it. You're probably mad hearing it. But I'm glad I went through that because it gave me a different level of empathy and understanding for other people who've made hard choices. And they are hard choices. They're terribly hard choices. We didn't take MAID lightly. We didn't take it as it was measured. My mother weighed it out. She asked if we were okay with it, all those things. And then imagine if someone, on the day that she's going to go through with her MAID, some righteous asshole comes in and starts telling her and us that we're all going to hell for doing this. Like, just imagine, and people do that. Like, there are Christians that think that's their job to do that they're somehow the moral authority of everything. It's terrible. It's terrible. And so, as I said, like, my idea, one of my goals is to help people grow in every way, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I think you need all four in order to really get to a point of strength. So, and I think the other thing, guys, that really, really turns Christians off is when you say, this is the only way. This is the only way. Guys, I know I'm going to get roasted for this. I know that there are going to be Christians that are going to come after me for this. I don't care. Bring it. I don't care. Guys, for me personally, like, this is my guy. Jesus Christ is my guy. I'm in. I'm all in. He is my guy. I know that this is the path for me. But I don't think that people who choose other paths are condemned to hell. I believe that in order to get to spend eternity with Jesus, yeah, you got to commit to him. But if you go a different route, you're not burning forever. You're not evil. Guys, I think Japanese people are the finest people on this planet. I think Japanese people, from a cultural perspective, from the perspective of honor and integrity and cleanliness and lifestyle, I love Japanese people. I absolutely love them. I have so much admiration and respect for the Japanese people, their country, their culture. It's number one on my bucket list to go to because I want to be around them. But 1.5% of Japanese people are Christian. So am I to believe that the people that I think are the finest people on this earth, am I to believe that 98.5% of the people who live in Japan are going straight to hell when they die? Absolutely not. Am I to believe that Buddhists go to hell? Give me a break. Like, that's not how this works. No God would do that. That's not how this works. And again, I'm going to have people that are going to say, oh, you're not a Christian. You're not a Christian. No, a Christian with some compassion and some empathy and some gray to recognize that everyone has to choose their own path. And I've been saying this from the very first episode, you guys. I don't care what you believe. What I care about, hopefully, you believe in something bigger than yourself. And I hope that you use that something that's bigger than you as a beacon to point you in a direction that's going to take you in places that are great and wonderful and make the world a better place. I say all the time, if you choose a religion and that religion makes you be mean to people, makes you be an asshole, makes you hurt people, then you've either chosen the wrong religion or you've misinterpreted it, right? And I think that most rational people would say that. If you use your religion, your faith, your connection to God and source and everything else to become a better person, to make the world better, to inspire others, and to hopefully connect other people to follow your path or whatever path is right for them, that's the win, right? That's the win. But when we're so black and white and so arrogant about it, so arrogant, where this is it, this is the only way, and if you don't follow me, you're going to hell because I've got all the answers. I know everything. Good Lord. How obscene. Like, what an obscene statement. I know everything. I've got it figured. I know where you're going if you don't do what I did. Get bent. Seriously. So, but I've been struggling with this, you guys. I've really been struggling with it because there are still people that say, no, you have to do it my way. You're not a Christian, as though they get to decide, right? And they can point to scripture and things like that. And there are things in the Bible that would lead you to say, yeah, well, according to this word and this word, yeah, this is kind of the path you need to go on. And I recognize, guys, that there are so many things in the Bible that make the world a better place. I think that whether you're a Christian or not, if everybody in this world lived by the general values of good that the Bible teaches you, this world would be a notable better place, right? It teaches you, and there's a whole bunch of little Easter eggs in there about, health tips and this and that, things that we're using today that if you look in the Bible, they're there. Like, there are some cheat codes in there, a lot of them. So, it might sound silly to say that I'm just going to cherry pick which parts of the Bible I'm going to follow, which parts I'm not. But I guess that's kind of what I'm doing. And I'm okay with that because I refuse to believe that there are so many good people who believe in God in their own way, who are doing good things, who are making the world a better place, who are spiritually connected to a higher power. They're going to hell. Forget it. I just refuse to believe it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And the one thing in the Bible, they talk about, his return, right? Which I do think there's a pretty decent chance could happen. Especially, if you look at all the crazy things happening in the world today, it's kind of biblical what's happening. We could very well be headed towards a reckoning. And it could happen sooner than later. The world's heading to a pretty interesting place. But part of the reason that the world is heading towards such an interesting place is it's all about power. Like, the whole world right now is like Game of Thrones, all these different powers, people, religions doing this, fighting to control the whole thing. And I think the Christians, at least the like the Catholic Church and things like that, power is very, very important to them. Power and money, which wasn't exactly what Jesus had in mind. So if you look at what got Jesus put on the cross in the first place, why they put him up there? It's because he was a threat to their power. That's all it was. There were a whole bunch of people that believed that he was the way, he was the answer, who were like, yeah, we want to follow this guy. And the people in charge were like, well, if they follow them, we're going to lose all our power. We got to do something about this. We got to get rid of them. So they did. That's why they did it. Guys, if Jesus came back today, it would be the same thing all over again. It would be the exact same thing. He would be a threat to their power. That's what would happen. He'd come back, start to get his following. People would start to look and go, hey, this guy might be the real deal. This might be it. Start believing. I guarantee you some of the things that he would say would be like, well, yeah, this wasn't exactly what I had in mind for the church. And I wasn't really in favor of this. And this guys, some of these interpretations they've got, this ain't it. Well, if he started to gain enough respect and power and voice in the world today, how quickly do you think the people in charge at those other levels would put him back up on that cross? They would do it immediately. They would do it immediately, you guys. They wouldn't hesitate. They'll kill anything that is a threat to their power because it's all they care about. They care about their power way more than they care about Jesus, to the point where they'd sacrifice him again. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. History will repeat itself. So it is, again, it is interesting, right? I said it earlier. So many of the things that were set out with the best intentions are just ruined by people who just screw it up. And I do think we're screwing Christianity up. I do think, though, guys, I think that there is another thing happening right now with all the insanity in the world, that there is a Christian revival right now because people are starting to realize the power of those Christian values and what happens when you accept them into your life. And so in no way am I saying, I am not, how do I word this? Nothing that I'm saying here, nothing that I'm feeling is getting in the way of my connection with Jesus. If anything, it's just growing every day. I'm good. Like, I have my source. I got there. The method that the box that everybody's trying to put me in, that's what I have the problem with. And I think that's what's keeping so many other people away. It's the arrogance, it's the black and white conversation, and it's the ultimatum that if you don't do this, you're screwed. You're going to hell. Oh, and these people that you love that didn't do it this way, yeah, they're in hell right now. They're burning. Like I said, get bent. There's no way. That's not how it works. And that might sound arrogant for me to say, I know that's not how it works, but I just know in my heart, I just know that there's no way God would be so arrogant and cruel, right? Anyway, I hope that makes sense. I got a question for you guys. Do you think God has a sense of humor? Because I think he does, right? Like, I think God has a sense of humor, and I think sometimes he laughs at us the way I laugh at my kids, right? I mean, they call God the Father, right? And I am not trying to compare myself as a father to the Almighty. That is not what I'm saying. But there are like similarities in terms of your role, right? Like, how many times do you have to watch your kid fail, even though you know that if they would just take your advice, they could avoid themselves all that pain and heartache, right? But you got to just let them go through it. You got to let them fail. You got to watch them skin their knee, fall off their bike, figure out how to ride it properly. You've got to watch them fail over and over and over sometimes before they figure it out. And you can't fail for them. And, some people might look at that as, and it's oftentimes non-parents, right? People who aren't parents, they think parenting's so easy and they think, oh, how could you let your kid go through that? And how could you let your kid do that? It's just part of the deal. And it might come off as cruel, but it's just part of the deal. Good parents are hard on their kids. They're not hard on them because they don't like them. They're hard on them because they love them. They're hard on them because they're trying to get them strong, because they know that one day they're not going to be living under mom and dad's roof, and they're going to have to go and figure out how to navigate life on their own. And if they've never gone through anything hard, they're never going to be able to do it. Well, that's the same thing God does to us, right? Same thing he does to us. He lets us fail. He lets us skin our knee. He lets us go through pain and hardship because he knows that that's what it's going to take to get us to the point of strength where we can actually be strong enough to carry some of this load ourselves. Doesn't mean he doesn't love us. It's the opposite. When I watch my kid fail, it's not because I don't love him. It's because I do love him. I love him so much that I'm willing to watch him suffer for a minute. And I'll suffer right along with him, knowing that there was a path that he could have avoided. But it's part of the deal. And the reason I ask if you think God has a sense of humor is I'm going through it right now with a couple of my kids. So my son Jack just graduated high school. And Jack has always been like incredibly stubborn. But part of why he's so stubborn is he's so smart. Like, I don't want to say he's too smart for his own good, because I'm grateful for how intelligent he is. But his intellect definitely gets in the way sometimes, because He's so sure of himself that he's reluctant to take advice from anybody else. Just the way I ignore signs from God where I'm, keep just plowing down this same path over and over and over, even though there's a path that would be way better if I just listened to God when he's telling me these things in big, bold letters. So my son Jack just graduated high school, and I'm trying to help guide him on his path, where he should go next. And the more I try to steer him in one direction, the more he fights me, because he knows more, right? He knows more than dad. He knows more. And really what a lot of it is I've been learning a lot about AI and where AI is going and what it's going to do to the workforce in this industry and that industry. And so what I'm just trying to do is help him understand the gravity of it, so that when he chooses his path, he does so in a way where AI is not going to wreck it. AI is not going to take his career out. And maybe he can even lean into AI to the point where he'll use it to find great success. Because those who do that, those who lean into AI, will really be ahead of the game. The more I push you guys, the more he fights back, to the point where I just giggle, right? Because I know he's ultimately going to be fine. He's going to figure it out, but he might have to skin his knee a few extra times before he gets there. Okay, so be it. And so I sit there. I've really been reflecting on this and just giggling, right? Again, knowing he's going to be okay. And then just yesterday, or just this week, I had a business deal that I've been working on for like 3 years, and a reasonably decent sized deal. Working on it for 3 years, but God told me on so many occasions, this deal is not going to happen. Stop wasting your energy. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I just kept pushing forward. And we actually went to the client a couple times and said, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. The client's like, no, I want it. Anyway, of course, it doesn't happen. And I'm annoyed at myself for not listening earlier. Actually, when I was in Colombia, doing my ayahuasca ceremonies, which brought me even closer to Jesus and closer to God, when I was doing that work, a message came to me in the medicine, as clear as a bell. It said, move on from this deal. This deal is never going to happen. Drop it. Let it go. Okay. Yeah, I'll let it go. And of course, I didn't let it go because I'm stubborn like my son, Jack. Geez, I wonder where he gets it from. Wasted all this time and energy and money, wasted all three. Wouldn't listen. Sure enough, it dies. So I wonder if God was sort of giggling at me the way I giggle at my son, right? And I'm not laughing at him. I'm not laughing at my son. I don't know if God was laughing at me, but it's just like, okay, you're going to have to learn the hard way, right? Which is part of being a parent, part of being a father. So I'm sure that, our father sort of looks at it the same way. Yeah, okay, you'll figure it out. One way or another, you'll figure it out. Anyway, it's a funny world we live in, isn't it, guys? I'm going to end it there today. We're going to keep this one short and sweet, but sometimes these episodes are more about just a little bit of therapy for me than anything else, and I hope my self-indulgence isn't too much for you guys. I'm so grateful for where this thing is going and where it is now, and to have the reach that I'm doing and to bring you all along on this journey with me. I just really hope that it's helping you with your journey, because we're all on one, right? And there's no smooth rides. Everybody gets a bumpy road at some point. So anyway, I hope this stuff resonates, and I really, really hope that what it does is it provokes thought in you, so that you can find more certainty in your own path, more certainty in the direction that you want to take your life, how you want to connect with God, what path is right for you and your family, how you want to guide others, how you want to guide yourself. So if that's what this is doing, then, I'm honored to play a small role in that. I hope that's exactly what it's doing. And if it is, if these things are hitting you, shoot me a message, send me a DM on Instagram. My DMs are always open. And, I'd love to hear from you and I interact with people all the time on there. So hopefully it's resonating. And with that said, new episode, Army of Great Men, Wrestling with God. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.